Welcome to our YouTube channel. In today's video, we discuss what the journey to space in a Crew Dragon spacecraft will be like. There has never been a simpler, more practical, or less expensive way to send people into space than with SpaceX Crew Dragon. You don't have to be a high-ranking astronaut to go into space anymore, as SpaceX has proven that they can also fly 4 private citizens to orbit in its Dragon spacecraft. Amazing, right? We will describe what the experience will be like. But first, let's discuss briefly about the history of the SpaceX Dragon capsule. This dates back to SpaceX's very early years, when the SpaceX Dragon capsule was one of their initial products, produced in combination with the Falcon 9. After operating as an ISS supply ship for 10 years and completing 23 cargo trips, version 1 of the Dragon capsule proved to be reliable and successful. This led SpaceX to construct Dragon 2 in 2014, with backing from the NASA Commercial Crew Program. 2019 saw the completion of Dragon 2's first demonstration flight, and on May 30th, 2020, the rocket launched the first American crew into orbit. Now, I'm pretty sure you've seen videos of the Crew Dragon spacecraft, but here's a little description. The Dragon is sleek and modern both inside and out. The primary power source for the Dragon, the 16-foot-tall by 13-foot-wide capsule, rests atop the trunk segment, which extends another 12 feet in length. It also functions as a literal trunk for unpressurized cargo. The exterior of the Dragon is painted in SpaceX white and is flawlessly smooth, revealing only a few small windows in the various thruster ports. One mechanical hatch is located in the tip of the nose cone and reveals either a docking port or a cupola window depending on the mission profile. There is also one side door for the crew to enter and exit. Draco thrusters surround the capsule in small clusters, each with nozzles pointing in various directions. It is with these Draco thrusters that SpaceX maneuvers the vehicle and regulates orbital altitude. There are a total of 16 of them. Every thruster is a tiny rocket engine that produces force by combining 2 chemicals in the thrust chamber that self-combust upon contact to create hypergolic propellant. SpaceX initially considered using Super Draco engines for a propellive landing of the Dragon capsule, but ultimately chose the parachute ocean landing method, and the trunk section features aerodynamic fins for stability during flight. What happens within the Dragon is even more bizarre. The interior volume is enormous by space capsule standards, with 9.3 cubic meters of pressurized volume and the capacity to comfortably seat 4 passengers. In contrast, the currently in use Russian Soyuz vehicle has just about 4 cubic meters of habitable space in its descent module and can only accommodate 3 people. Now, back to the Dragon spacecraft. In front of the crew is a straightforward configuration consisting of 3 sizable touchscreen monitors. There are no analog controls because, like other modern spacecraft, Dragon flies entirely autonomously and handles any manual input remotely from the ground crew rather than the passengers, which makes perfect sense. However, even the Boeing Starliner, which was developed concurrently with the crew, still has a sizable panel of buttons, switches, and levers, making Dragon stand out from the crowd. Now let's talk about the space toilet. Fortunately, throughout the history of human spaceflight, this has become much more respectful. When longer duration spaceflight became a reality, astronauts were given sacks for their butts. Anyway, that evolved into a vacuum suction-powered toilet that was first installed on the Space Shuttle and is also used on the International Space Station. This eventually evolved into a tube that the astronauts would stick their junk into. The Dragon also has one. From the crew's point of view, it's kind of in the ceiling above the side door. The unit is nestled into an alcove that is set into the wall. Now let's discuss the launch day. 3 hours before liftoff, the crew suits up at NASA's Space Flight Center and receive a final technical briefing. Then, the 4 members of the crew, dressed in flight suits, are driven to the launch site in a fleet of Tesla Model X SUVs. About an hour before launch, the crew take an elevator 255 feet to the crew access arm of the launch tower at the top, which makes it exceedingly easy to get in and out with the suit on. Just a kind reminder that taking a rocket into orbit is a very risky hobby. The next step is to walk across the walkway to the Dragon, which is waiting for us. The ground crew helps us enter through the capsule side door and secures us to the seats. The life support tether from your chair plugs into a port on the 5 of your flight suit, allowing cooled nitrogen and oxygen to flow through your suit and maintaining temperature and air quality. At this point, The flight suit is fully integrated with the Dragon capsule. At around T-minus 45 minutes, the ground crew will say goodbye to the flight crew and seal the capsule, after which the crew access arm will retract. The onboard computer is monitoring the crew's vital signs and providing a customized life support experience. After clearing the arm, the final countdown prep visors are secured and the launch escape system is armed. The hypergolic fuel tanks are ready for the Super Draco engines, which can fire up to 16,000 pounds of thrust per nozzle in 100 milliseconds. The Dragon will go half a mile in just 7 seconds, but it won't be enjoyable. After breaking the sound barrier, the rocket moves over 6,000 kilometers per hour and 80 kilometers above sea level. The crew can raise their visors and unbuckle from the seats after 15 minutes to start floating freely in the capsule. Thankfully, the most hazardous phase of the mission is now over. If the crew is headed toward the International Space Station, it will take the capsule approximately a day to slowly approach the station and dock. In this scenario, the crew will manually unscrew the nose cone cap to reveal a docking port that we will use to transfer it into the ISS. Now, what about re-entry into Earth? Now that our time on the International Space Station has come to an end, we must return to Earth. There are 7 possible landing sites along the Florida coast, 3 of which are in the open Atlantic Ocean, and the others in the Gulf of Mexico. The ground crew will decide which landing site is best based on safety considerations, weather, and other factors. The SpaceX team at Mission Control will start to gradually shift the Dragon into its final orbital trajectory, essentially just lowering the perigee, the lowest point of each orbit, until the Dragon is headed back toward the atmosphere. This is the point at which things start to get risky. The Dragon capsule will separate from the trunk module, and Draco thrusters will fire to point the heat shield towards Earth and set the final approach angle. The communication system will go dead for 7 minutes during the intense re-entry period. Once the fire has subsided, the communication system will come back online and the ground crew will let us know to prepare for chute deployment. The resistance from the atmosphere will slow the Dragon down to just 560 kilometers per hour. When the crew reach the water, a SpaceX crew on a barge ship will meet them. They will attach the capsule to a crane and raise it to the deck. And that's it. That is basically what the journey to space in a Crew Dragon will be like. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.